Okay, so today I'm gonna pull the hood off this old International. This thing has a P-pump 6-cylinder, 12-valve Cummins diesel in it, and it has 3 industrial turbos on it. So we're gonna check it out. This is the way I keep the hood on. These old spark plugs. I would say the 1930, this spark plug right here. This International is a 1934 or 34, I think. This thing would have came with a 6-cylinder inline gas motor in it. Now it's got a 6-cylinder again in it, but it's actually a 12-valve diesel. Typically on a compound setup, this is how kind of a compound setup would work, but this one has 3 turbochargers on it. And you can see how they kind of have to Y in here on the compressor side, and they have to Y in right here on the exhaust side. So basically what you're doing is you've got exhaust pressure coming out of the exhaust, which then in return drives the exhaust side of the turbos. And on this one, what happens is we have the primary turbo here, which is doing a lot of the work that produces the exhaust pressure to go from here into that turbo and into this turbo. In return, you have basically double the pressure coming out of this turbo and that turbo. So this is your compressor side right here. So the compressor is what's building boost pressure, which then feeds it back into this turbo. And then the turbo pressure comes out, goes through the intercooler, and then it sends the cold air charge back into the motor. This is a mess. This is not something that everybody does. It's a lot of thought process of how it works. But basically, what I have here is a lot of boost pressure and a lot of basically cold air going into your motor. And that's what makes these things run so efficient, is getting as much cool air charged back into the motor. You're trying to fill those cylinders up with a lot of pressure. And when you do it, it creates a lot of heat. So a lot of these are intercooled, so that way we can get cold air into the motor and it doesn't create so much heat. These motors, after 12 to 1400 degrees, they start to melt down. You get these things up around 1600 degrees, your pistons are starting to come apart. Why I know this is because I've done it more than once. So I've had fragments of my pistons come apart. I've melted them. So what we're trying to do right here is, under a load, we want to try to get as much airflow into the motor that's cool. And sometimes with a compound setup or this triple setup, it does lower your ETGs. It will cool it down a little bit. So that's kind of how this old bus works. I wanted you guys to kind of actually see what it looks like under the hood and how it works. Boost pressure means more horsepower, period. More fuel, more boost, more power.